Hey guys, it's Mr. Harris coming to you live and direct. I got my dorky little whiteboard here, I got my markers, and I got a new tripod for my camera that my dad sent me in the mail. So the production value is just sky high right now. You're welcome. I wanted to make a short video today to help you with the last part of the pedigree doc. In part 3 of that doc, you're asked to make your own pedigrees from scratch, and the last one is one that is a trait that shows multiple alleles, and that is the trait of ABO blood type. A trait that shows multiple, or has multiple alleles rather, what that means is it means there's more than 2 alleles floating around out there in the gene pool. In other words, no one person can have more than 2 alleles because you only have 2 chromosomes and therefore 2 copies of the gene. But out in the gene pool at large, there's more than 2 versions of the gene out there. And so that's what we're going to go through today in this little lesson. And I would like to quickly say a side note here that I think studying the immune system right now and how antibodies work, which is related to this topic, might be a good thing to do just because this disease is spreading around. And I think it's a good time in the year to kind of have that conversation. But more information on that coming later. Just know that some of the stuff I'm going to teach you here is going to tie into some things that are coming up. Anyhow, so I've got a little chart set up. I think maybe you could write this chart down too. We'll make a bigger version of this chart. But I've got blood type. Now, there's a couple different types of methods of blood typing. One of the main ones is the ABO system. This is controlled by one gene, but the gene has 3 different alleles, A, B, or O. And you guys probably know you can be blood type A, you can be blood type B, you can be AB, or you can be O. Now, what's interesting is A and B here. The fact that if you are heterozygous, you have an A allele and a B allele, and you are AB as opposed to one of the two, that is a different type of inheritance from complete dominance, right? Remember, complete dominance is where you get dominant recessive. What's it called when both of them show up as the heterozygote? Pause the video if you want. I want you to think about that answer. What is it called? Is it incomplete dominance or codominance? This is codominance because both are showing up. So what blood type A means is simply that your red blood cell, here's a red blood cell, has A-type antigens on it. So I'm going to make a little spiky guy. This is a red blood cell, RBC, and that's not the real shape of the A antigen, but I'm just making up a shape to represent it. All right, so these are, remember, antigens, we've learned about them before. They're actually the same, you could use the same name for what a virus has on the outside of it. But all your cells have identifying molecules, typically proteins, that are on the cell surface that allow the cell to be recognized and identified. Antigens are really important on your own cells so that your immune system can distinguish yourself from non-self or germs that come in. So if you are blood type A, your red blood cells, all that means is your red blood cells have the A-type antigen on the outside of them. Right? If you are blood type B, it means your red blood cells have a different protein. The gene is a little different, makes a little bit of a different shaped protein on the outside. So I'll make this one look like a circle, right? This is a red blood cell again. If you are AB, you probably could guess you have both A and B antigens. And then if you're O, you have none. So this is what your red blood cells look like with these 4 blood types, right? So what are the genotypes that can lead to type A? Well, we use this little lowercase letter I, which stands for isoagglutination, and I'll sort of teach you a little bit later, as I was hinting at before, about what that means. Don't worry too much about it right now. You can have the A allele on one chromosome and another big A on the other. I shouldn't have to distinguish big A, just you could be AA. You could also be AO. So you could have this allele twice, or you could have the A allele with the O allele. So those are the 2 genotypes you could be to be type A. You could probably guess now what B would be. You're either BB or BO. Get it, BO? And those would lead to blood type B. I'm fine, by the way, if you want to write it like this. You could write it like that. I'm just saying, a lot of times you are going to see this lowercase I there and the allele written as an exponent, almost like a sex-linked trait, but this is not sex-linked, right? ABO gene is on one of the autosomes. I think it's a chromosome like 14 or 15. I would have to check. AB, you can only be one genotype. You need to inherit each of the two alleles. So that's your genotype if you're AB. And if you're O, you have neither of those alleles. So this is it. These are the genotypes. So when you're doing a pedigree, if you're told that someone has, let's say, I don't know what the names are, but let's say Sally is blood type A, you know that she could be AA or AO, and you could write it like that, just, you know, for practice if you want, just for yourself, I mean. And then, you know, if let's say her husband is type O, then we know that it's OO. You could write it like that, or you could write it like that, right? Whichever way you're more comfortable with. And I could write this like this too. You know, it's not that different. So if the child, for example, is let's say we have one child that's blood type A, and we have another that's blood type O. Well, all of a sudden you know which of these genotypes that parent is, right? So if this one came out O, we know that's that genotype, right? So we could not have that genotype in the parent. We would have to be AO, right? So we would then be able to label that parent. I'll write it a little more neatly. AO, and that's how they can produce one child that's blood type A and one child that's blood type O. All right, so let me know if you have questions, and I hope that helps you make the pedigree.